Thank you for joining. Before I say anything, I'm going to do 3 slides of disclaimers. Don't worry, this is not a PowerPoint presentation. All right. Alex does rule. That's true, Chris. Okay. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell any security, ever. This is not advice. The results here are provided for general information purposes as a convenience to you, the viewers. The materials are not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person, firm, or corporation. And since we are going to be talking about options in particular, those involve the risk of loss more than the risk capital you put in. Please go to the OCC and read their characteristics and risks of standardized options. This is the link. Please know what you're getting into before you even think about trading options. And those are my disclaimers. All right, let me pull up it on the screen. I see people are still rolling in. I shall speak slowly. So, hope everyone had a good day today. Hope you're long, at least for today. Let's talk about options. My goal for this webinar is, in just a matter of minutes, to demonstrate how Trade Machine can help your option trading, and that means Trade Machine Platinum as well. But specifically, I want to demonstrate 3 trades that are working right now, have already worked in the last year, the last 3 years, and the last 5 years, and they're starting to work better now because of a volatility regime change. In this case, I'm going to be using what's called Trade Machine Platinum to do portfolio analysis, but that doesn't mean that you need Platinum. I'm just going to be using it to show you some results. You can take all of the information you see here today and not touch Platinum. Trade Machine has everything I'm going to demonstrate other than the portfolio analytics and new custom technicals. So please don't feel compelled to upgrade to Platinum just because I'm using it. You have heard me say many times that trading has an explicit scorecard. Right? So there is no fair or unfair. There's really no prejudice or bias other than the prejudices or biases we have in our own minds. Okay? So either you are up or you are down. Either the tools you use help make you money or they do not. There's no other subject I want to cover on this webinar other than how to impact that scorecard. Today, we focus on the scorecard for 4 strategies. Okay, the first one is just a demonstration. So some of you are going to roll your eyes, and I encourage you not to roll your eyes because we have changed a volatility regime, and we are, as option traders, keenly susceptible to changes in volatility regimes. Sorry, I need to turn my phone off. Sorry about that. Okay. So we will discover that what is working in 2020 was also working in 2019. We're also going to see why it's working. We're also going to see why something that has been working hasn't been working as well. It's still profitable, still making money, but you're getting a haircut. Okay. I'll also tell you what a volatility regime is. That's kind of, how we used to talk on the floor. For Trade Machine members on this webinar, I will be demonstrating for the first time Trade Machine Platinum, which does not carry an extra cost. It simply requires a move from a monthly membership to an annual one. But I'm going to talk about that later. I want to talk about trading. This webinar is aimed at your scorecard. It's aimed at my scorecard. This helps me. So we're going to look at 4 strategies today. Again, don't roll your eyes at the first one. It's starting to, what I want to show you is that it's starting to fade. And because of that, we can see that a volatility regime is changing. Okay? The last 3 we're going to work on are better than they have been historically, which is to say they've worked great over the last 5 years and 3 years, but they're working even better in the last year and even better in the first month and a half, or even less, first month of 2020. Right? They're bigger winners than they have been in the past, and we can catch that change quickly. So I want to start with that. Okay. I'm going to start with what is not working well because it draws implicitly on how the market and therefore volatility is moving. Okay. Once we understand what isn't working as well, well, great. Once that's identified, we can find the corollary. That is what is working well. And you will also implicitly be getting a lesson on implied volatility. And if you've ever traded an option in your life, welcome to volatility trading. Now is as good a time as ever to remember that option trading is volatility trading. And guess what? It is whether you mean it to be or not. So you might as well mean it. If you don't know anything about volatility, that's okay. The market is going to have you trade volatility anyway. Okay. So first strategy I'm going to show you is one that you've all seen many, many times. And again, I want to be explicit in how it's set up because we have to build off of it in order to address a changing volatility regime, which began in Q4 of 2018, including the worst December in the history of financial markets. Remember that in 2018? Everything changed then with regard to volatility. And that means we have to be able to adapt. Okay, so I'm not going to do a feature walkthrough of Trade Machine. So if you're new to this, just look for the results. Okay, if you want to know what I'm doing or do it for yourself, I'll give you that later. This is about understanding trading. So here we go. The critical point to take away from this first strategy, which is the building block for the next three, is both the repeating pattern, okay, but as importantly, the impact of the volatility regime change. How we can see that happening in the results, we can get ahead of it and adapt while still maintaining the pattern. Okay, so this will not look great as we start zooming into closer and closer time periods. It's this very phenomenon that will drive the final three strategies. It acts as a roadmap for us as option traders. Understand the path that I'm taking so that you won't need me as you go forward. I want you to be the experts in the room. I'm already an expert. Okay, this is not one of the three that I want to share with you today. It's the precursor, so let's do it. I'll say it one last time. This is not one of the three trades I want to highlight today. It is a precursor. Okay. So still to this day, this goes a long time back from institutional finance, head of quant modeling, algorithmic trading, being a floor trader, perhaps the most powerful repeating trend I have ever seen in the option market that spans from the Great Recession, that means including a bear market, through the last 11 years is pre-earnings momentum, right? And you by now, most of you probably seen it. I'm just going to put a little chart up here. Just let me make sure you guys see a chart with like an arrow and a green. Yeah, you guys see this?
I do over here.
You do? Oh, great. Awesome. All right. So what we're looking at is earnings right here. And there's this pre-earnings optimism. Okay. What happens, let's say 14 days before earnings, 7 days before earnings, 3 days before earnings. Let's focus on 14 days before earnings. Okay. And the idea is to buy a 30-day call option slightly out of the money 14 days before earnings and closing that trade at the latest day before earnings. So because we're going to build on this so much, I think it's just worth it for me to share this. So here is the trade. This is day 14. Here is earnings. You open a long call here. You ride it for the next 14 days. The option expires sometime out here, sometime after expiration, right? It must expire after expiration. I'll show you why. It's because of volatility. It must expire after expiration. It must expire after expiration. It must expire after expiration. Sorry, must expire after earnings, right? Must expire after earnings. Okay, so this is the trade. That's the trade. And let's see how it has done over the last 10 years. This is where I'm going to introduce Trade Machine Platinum. Okay, this is buying the 40 delta call, 14 days before earnings, closing 1 day before earnings. Here's how it has done in the NASDAQ 100, stock by stock, right? over the last 10 years? Okay. Just let you stare at that for a second before I start drawing it out. Okay. None of the stuff up on the left-hand side matters for 99.9% of you. This is like really different type of portfolio analytics. What you want to look for is the stuff to the right. It's these 4 columns. Okay. So over the last 10 years, this trade has won 52% of the time. This is naked call buying. You're not supposed to have a win rate above 50% when you're buying an option naked. But most importantly, the average trade has won 10%. That's 10% every 2 weeks. Right? That's more than 20% a month, every month on average for 10 straight years. Right? Those are ridiculous returns. You can just start doing the math in your head. That would be, even if you're not compounding, that would be 250% a year. These are not normal things. But I want to show you something more ridiculous. Okay, let me bring it over. And this is why it's so exciting, because seeing a bullish strategy work during a bull market, not that big of a deal. This is the same strategy from January 2008 to the end of 2009. Okay. This is a period where the S&P 500 was down 22%. This trade still averaged 5% every 2 weeks. Right? In a period where the S&P 500 was down 22%, the trade still won. Buying naked calls in the worst bear market, well, in the Great Recession, turned a 5% profit every 2 weeks if you just obeyed the rules of never buying a call if the stock was below its 50-day moving average, and only buying the call when it was 14 days before earnings and closing it before. That's insane. That's insane. It's this reality that's been crushing it for the last 3 years, which is when we first introduced it. Right? So we can look at it over the last 3 years. And as we zoom in with greater resolution, we're going to start to see a problem. This is over the last 3 years. The win rate is higher than the 52%, right? And the average trade return is now 12%. That's for every 2 weeks. But that's not what I want to talk about. Sorry, I can close this, even though I do think our hold music game has vastly improved. Our scorecard needs to be updated. So let's look at the last year in isolation. And I'm going to do this one live. I'm just going to click 1 year. Okay. So remember, we're looking at 56% win rates and an average return of 12% every 2 weeks. That's 25% a month, 300% a year, 3,000% in 10 years. Okay. So I'm going to hit a year. Ugh, that's painful. Okay. I'll show you how I do this later, trying not to get into kind of how to use Trade Machine. NASDAQ, 1 year. Okay. So, by the way, these portfolios, that's what Trade Machine Platinum allows you to do, to build a portfolio and to test it. So we're just going to let this rip. We can see it. This is our version of Threadripper. So here they come. Here they come. This is the last year, buying a call 14 days before earnings, selling it the day before earnings, only if the stock is above the 50-day moving average. So if you recall, the win rate was 56%. Oh, it should not be. Yes. Over 3 years was 56% and was 12%. Now over the last year, the average trade return has gone down. It has essentially halved. So what happened? Have we not been in a bull market? We have been in a bull market. Did we avoid trades where the stock was just collapsing? Yeah, we made sure the stock was above the 50-day moving average, right? You can see that here. Made sure the stock is above the 50-day moving average. Let it rip again, right? So we're still in a bull market. We still have a technical safety valve. What happened? Let it rip again. Sometimes it's fun just to watch it. If we can understand what happened, we can improve our trading results. There's a difference between observing the trading results and trying to understand. Okay. The volatility that was introduced in late 2018, right, the worst December in the history of American financial markets, including the Great Depression, realized volatility is hurting some of these pre-earnings trades because they get stopped out, right? We have a 40% limit and stop on this trade, and it's hitting that stop because there are these crazy days where the market just goes down real hard and then rebounds like we just had, right? We've seen 2 rip-roaring days, right? But if you had a 14-day pre-earnings call opened 4 days ago, you might have been stopped out and missed this whole thing. So these are 2-week trades, right? And therefore they can suffer from this large drawdown. And that's very similar to what we saw in 2008, 2009. Do you remember the results in 2008, 2009? They were 5%. So even though we're in a bull market, the last year looks more like the Great Recession for this trade than it does the last 10 years. Right? Think about that for a second. Right? We have to take information from that phenomenon. Okay? We have to be adaptive as traders. That's our job. Adapt to profit. That's it. As a trader, the job is actually pretty simple. Make money. What you do with the money is a choice later in life. When you trade, you do it to profit. That's it. So I have this hypothesis that realized volatility is hurting these trades. And I can prove it very easily. I'll just take the stop loss off. So remember the average trade return, 6%. I'm just going to remove the stop. By the way, this is not the new strategy. Let's let it rip away. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Trade Machine Platinum doing what it does. For anyone who's new to this, obviously you can just click on a ticker and you can actually see the trade details, right? So here. You can see every single trade downloaded to Excel, whatever, but you guys know that. Okay. When I took off the stop loss, all of a sudden the trade went from 6% average to an 8% average, and the win rate went from 52% to 54%, right? So that's evidence that it's this 1 day or 2 day shocks down that are busting this trade. It's still very profitable, but it's not as good as it has been, and it's getting near the Great Recession while we're in the midst of a bull market, which is weird. So I'm not all of a sudden going to say remove stops because the market is now more volatile. Not only does that sound crazy, that's just the opposite of what you should do when you're trading. You don't say, oh, there's more risk, I'm going to remove my downside protection. No. This is strategy number 1 that has been working, but working less well because of a volatility regime. So what do we do while we still benefit from 14-day pre-earnings momentum? All right. So here we go. Trade Machine members, you've seen it, but you've never seen it in Platinum. First, the picture. It's a diagonal. So we own the same call. We buy it 14 days before earnings. Here's earnings, here's 14 days. It expires after earnings. It expires after earnings. I'm just going to put it here. This is crucial. I have to type over my microphone, so it's going to be pretty loud. All right. But we now have to address the change in the volatility regime. And the way we address a change in the volatility regime, when that change is that implied volatility, historical volatility, realized volatility is going up, we need to spread it off. So instead of just doing a naked long call, We also want to sell a shorter dated, further out of the money call. And it would expire here-ish. It has to expire before the earnings date. So own a call at the money that expires after earnings. Be short a call further out of the money that expires before earnings. My claim to you, which I will demonstrate later with a picture of theta, is that I have now reversed some of our volatility risk. It's called vega. I have taken advantage of theta, time risk. And because of that, we are going to see a strategy which is ostensibly the same, it's the same timing, but because I'm using an option to hedge an option. Remember, people say you can hedge options with stock. False. An option can only be hedged by an option. A stock does not have theta. A stock does not have vega. A stock does not have gamma. An option can only be hedged with another option. And I say to you, which I will demonstrate, that we will make use of this volatility regime to turn one of the most powerful trends we've ever seen into a better trade for this volatility regime while still taking advantage of the continuation of the trend. So here we go. All right. This, let me make sure I'm going to share that. Okay. This is that diagonal trade, long a call that expires after earnings, short a call that expires before earnings. This is over 1 year. Actually, I want to do it over 3 years too. I think it's going to log me out. Let me see if I have it pre-saved. Sorry. I'm going to do it live. So I am doing the custom diagonal in the NASDAQ 100 for the last 3 years. My claim to you is that because we are in a volatility regime change, that even though we are taking less risk with this strategy because we are using an option to hedge another option, my claim is that the returns will be higher, the win rates will be higher, the risk will be lower, and we will play directly into the hands of the volatility regime change. And then I will further demonstrate how the volatility regime change is bursting through in 2020 with the coronavirus. Okay, and probably pretty soon an election. If you recall, being a naked long the call returned 10% on average. And 10% every 2 weeks is pretty fantastic. This is 20% every week. The win rate was 56%, and it's now 65%. And my claim to you is we are benefiting from the pattern pre-earnings. We are still benefiting from the identical pattern, this momentum. But because we are hedging an option with another option, that we are reducing our theta risk and we are using volatility to our advantage, implied volatility. Okay. So when you hear that volatility can make you money in the option market, this is what we mean. Right? We have the basis of a strategy that's won for the last 10 years, a strategy that has won during a bear market. And now with a changing volatility regime, we tweak the strategy, and now we have less risk, a higher win rate, and higher average returns. And let me show you what I mean. I want to prove it to you. Here's how this strategy has done just in 2020. So I'm going to go from the first to today. You can see very few it's triggered very few times. It's very early in the year. Okay. And look at that. The realized volatility that we are experiencing has changed the regime. And it has made naked call buying, naked option buying for that matter, and naked option selling inferior to a position which hedges an option with another option while we remain bullish. While we remain bullish. Yeah. So how can that be? Here's what's happening. This is the same trade. This is it. Okay. Options have something called time value, which makes sense because an option has an ending date. The contract between the buyer and the seller expires. The expiration date is actually explicit when you enter into that contract. So the time value in an option is called theta. The Greek T. Time value for an option decays because if I have the right to buy something and I have 7 days in which to do so, that is worth more than the exact same right if I have only 1 day to do so. For example, imagine you had the right to buy Tesla for $800. Well, how about this? Let's say you have the right to buy Tesla for $1,000. As of today, this moment, if it expires now, it's worth zero. Tesla is below $1,000. What if I told you you could hold that right for the next week? It's going to be worth more than zero. Right? This is how theta decays. Okay? It decays in a curve. I've actually lined this up with the trade. So we are short this call, which decays to zero in a week. So we have time working for us. Interestingly, time value is a function of the value of the option, which is a function of volatility, implied volatility. The implied volatility of an option, implied volatility just is exactly what it sounds like. The amount of volatility that the option price implies. It says, oh, the stock will be this volatile over the next week, over the next 2 weeks. That number is extraordinarily elevated on this day. And that makes sense because stocks tend to move a huge amount on earnings. We all know when earnings come, we're bracing ourselves, right? If the option expires after earnings, then even as time passes by, we don't follow this curve anymore. It stays relatively more flat and then crashes after earnings. And that's what they call the vol crush. So contrary to popular opinion, selling an option because of a vol crush is not a good trade. It's not some mistimed mispricing of the market. No, this day, this yellow day, is extraordinarily volatile. Company reports after the bell and right? So we own an option where the time value is necessarily decaying slower because it expires after earnings. And we sell an option whose time value is necessarily going to go to zero within 7 days. That's a tautology. The time value of the option will go to zero. The option might not be worth zero if it's in the money. The time value will go to zero. And so by hedging our long option with a short option, by making use of implied volatility and the protection it gives us if we own an option that expires after earnings, and collecting time value with an option that expires before earnings, And further offsetting those calls by owning something that is at the money and selling something that is out of the money, we get these results. If we had a regime in which volatility was not a problem, it would be better to just be naked long a call, right? Stock's going to go up, just get long calls. If the stock's going to trend up but be very bumpy, spread it. Okay. So if we go to the Pro Scanner, I like using the NASDAQ 100 because they're just more liquid, but you can use any group of tickers you want. If we go to the 14 days pre-earnings diagonal, sort by wins. We got AMD, PayPal, Microsoft. I'll just click on AMD. Let's go Microsoft, PayPal. So this is not Trade Machine Platinum. This is just normal Trade Machine. You can see what's going on, right? In the last, I think this is 3 years. Yeah, in the last 3 years, we've got AMD, Microsoft, PayPal. They're following this crazy pattern. We know that the NASDAQ 100 constituents in general are, but now we want to use the scanner to really get down deep and to pick the ones we want, right? So then we could click add alert. Then we'll get a text message when it's 14 days before earnings and the stock's above the 50-day moving average. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to show you all my alerts. And also, that's not what this is about, right? That's how it works. Okay. This is strategy number 1 that is working, that makes use of the research we used before, makes use of this. This pattern is continuing. But it now uses an option to hedge an option to profit from a volatility regime. If we were just doing naked calls, we would be swimming upstream. Right? The returns were getting a little worse every year. Not every year, but in particular the last year and the beginning of this year. Now we've reversed it. Welcome to volatility trading. That's what this is. We're volatility trading while benefiting from a pre-earnings optimism. It's volatility trading with momentum. This is a momentum volatility trade. This is like top 1% option trading. The last 1%, don't worry about it. If you can understand what we're doing now, you're in the top 1% of option traders. And I can tell you there are people on the floor who probably wouldn't have quite kept up with what I just said. That's strategy number 1. Now, what are other strategies that could benefit from a volatility regime change? Well, clearly, we should consider spreads. Right? A volatility regime gives us the opportunity to use an option to hedge another option. Right? So the next one we're going to look at is much less bullish. It's essentially a not bearish strategy. Right? We call it fade the dip. Right? So here is fade the dip over the last 3 years. This is selling a put spread when certain technical conditions are met. Those technical conditions are identical to our buy the dip strategy. But instead of buying a call, sell a put spread. And you can see when you're doing this trade, it's a not bearish trade. The win rates skyrocket. 77% win rates, an average trade return of 8%. Average holding period is about 14 days, right? It's a 30-day option, 30-day spread with a 50% limit. So these are quite robust results. What do you think will happen if we change the time frame? Why don't you guess in your head before I show you? Okay, I'm going to click 1 year and we're going to see it live. So not everything's going to trigger because this is the last year. We're trying to see if the volatility regime change has made selling volatility, selling a put spread is selling volatility. Has it made it better or worse? Is this volatility regime change identifiable not just in getting long a call, but also in short puts? Remember, the win rate was 77% and now it's 80. The average trade was 8% and now it's 11 over the last year. So we're taking the change in realized volatility, recognizing the impact it's having on our option trades. And rather than complaining like 99% of other traders, we're just adapting. This strategy worked over the last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, no problem. But it's in focus right now. And we have evidence that this regime change is impacting strategies. And we will take advantage of that change. And we will be ahead of the market. Before I show you the next strategy, I just want to point some things out of Trade Machine Platinum. You can add as many portfolios as you like. You know, have 17,000, well, don't do 17,000. Have 100 portfolios. The maximum number of tickers per portfolio is 50. Since I'm the CEO, I get as many as I want. So if you want to do the NASDAQ 100, you can do like the first 50 and the second 50. It's also a good idea if you're testing new strategies, see how it does on the first 50, build a strategy, then use your additive sample as the second 50, right? It's just proper modeling, right? And by your strategy, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything related to earnings, it can just be technicals, right? So you can change your technicals. Another thing I want to point out in Trade Machine Platinum is that while you're a little bit limited in Trade Machine with your technicals, you got the 8-day EMA, 10-day EMA, 21-day EMA, and then the 50-day and 200-day SMAs. In Trade Machine Platinum, not yet, but within a month or so, you're going to have any technical you want with regard to a moving average. The 2-day, the 7-day, the 17-day, the 97-day, doesn't matter. You're just going to type in the number. And it can be SMAs or EMAs, you choose. And we're going to add many more technicals like Bollinger Bands and percent R divergence, stochastics. Okay, so that's coming to Trade Machine Platinum. Another thing that's coming to Trade Machine Platinum, finally, is a technical close. So we have a technical open, but we need a technical close. Okay, so those are the benefits of Trade Machine Platinum. Now, finally, I want to do, for our third strategy, I want to do a straight down the middle buy the dip long call. Now, the last two strategies I showed you said you could hedge an option with an option, right? So now how can it be now that a strategy that doesn't hedge an option with an option is all of a sudden a good idea? In particular, I just used the exact same technicals that I'm going to use again, but instead of selling a put spread, I'm buy call. So this takes advantage of the reality that while the volatility regime has changed, the market has not. The market still wants to go up. Right? So the key is not to buy the dip. Right? That's just losing. The key is actually to buy the rip after the dip. It's easy to find stocks that are dipping. Just sort through the S&P 500 for new 52-week lows. There you go. Right? It's finding the technical patterns that have indicated an imminent rise. That's the hard part. All right. So I'm going to show you 3 years of buy the dip. The constituents of the NASDAQ 100. If you recall in Fade the Dip, we were looking at an 8% average return. You guys remember that? But a 77% win rate. So we're looking at a 50-50 trade. The wins are obviously much larger than the losses. These are the exact same technicals as Fade the Dip. So what we're learning is that while there is a volatility regime change, what has not changed is the bullish tenor of the market. And that means if you can identify something relatively close to the bottom in a stock, then you wouldn't want to hedge that off because you've probably got bullishness for a short burst. That's different than a pre-earnings momentum play, which uses just a simple technical safety valve, right? It says, oh, a stock has to be above the 50-day moving average. So if that's true, if what I said is true, so by the way, let me do a pro. So if you go to scanner, NASDAQ 100, buy the dip, let's only do 3-year trades that are 3 years or more, sort by wins, Cisco, JD, and Apple for Google, doesn't matter. This is how you would queue it up, right? Like, oh, okay, I like these trades. I want to add these alerts. I want to get a text alert when these technical requirements hit. So Trade Machine Platinum, different than Trade Machine, allows you to build portfolios, allows you to test portfolios, gives you portfolio analytics. Soon will give you free-flowing technicals for opens and closes. That's the difference. So I promised 3 strategies that have worked over the last 3 years, 1 year, and especially year to date. And I promised that we would look at them because of a change in the volatility regime. And I said there was no other subject I wanted to cover on the webinar other than how to impact your scorecard. That is the only thing that interests me. I hope I have delivered on my promise. I hope you are a better trader because I delivered on my promise. Now it's time for live Q&A. If you are a Trade Machine member, you will see an upgrade button in the upper right-hand side of your account. It is automatically going to be 12 times your current rate. I know some of you guys got in very early, so it'll be 12 times that rate, and some of you got in a little late. It'll be 12 times that rate. There is no cancellation. Trade Machine is month to month. Your first month is actually refundable if you don't like it. Ask for it. Once you do Trade Machine Platinum, that's it. You've paid for the year. You don't have to use it, but you've paid. So I would say you have to have very specific portfolio needs in order to upgrade to Trade Machine Platinum, or you have very specific technical needs. We're releasing a technical stock backtester, and of course, Trade Machine Platinum will have everything that the stock backtester will have. So if you're very, very interested in your own technicals, Trade Machine Platinum with options, Trade Machine Platinum would be the way to go. If you are not, there is nothing wrong with the current version of Trade Machine. It's incredibly powerful. I will continue to share research. You can do virtually everything you want to do. Don't switch to Trade Machine Platinum just because it's a new shiny object in the room. Do it if you think it's going to help you make money. That makes me happy. All right, Q&A. You are saying every 2 weeks, but it is an earning strategy, so there are no earnings every 2 weeks. That's true, although there are earnings virtually throughout the whole quarter all the time. But that's true. Okay. Could you show us the actual simple trade, i.e. just the simple legs that comprise the diagonal? Sure, I can. We'll just do AMD. We'll look at the most recent one, which was January of this year. It opened on January 14th, got long the 48.5 strike call, paid $227. Got short the option expiring 1 week earlier, January 24th, at 58 cents. You'll notice earnings were on the 28th. So this option expires after earnings. This option expires before earnings. Fast forward 6 days to when this option expires. This call for 227 is now priced at 345. The stock went up a little bit. Remember that bullish momentum is still happening. Those other options should be virtually zero. So that's a pretty big winning trade. These options that were worth 35 cents, we sold at 58. So we made basically 50% on those. These calls went up virtually 50%, which is a massive winner. So that is an example of a real world, just occurring diagonal trade in advanced microbusinesses. Could you please show the results during Q4 2018 for the pre-earnings momentum diagonal strategy? Pre-earnings, oh, this one, yeah. Loading. Average trade is basically break even, lost a little bit. By the way, these include commissions. All right. You said to do the trade every 2 weeks, but if these are all pre-earnings, right. So for each stock, it's 4 times a year, but there are 6,000 stocks. I have TM, so how do I upgrade and what are the additional costs involved? There are no additional costs involved with converting to Trade Machine Platinum. You're just committing to 1 full year at your current price. You can upgrade in the upper right-hand corner of your Trade Machine. The little thing says upgrade. Okay. Is it a new interface or are there some new functionality too? I feel like I've gone pretty hardcore into what the new functionality is, and if it wasn't apparent to you, then it's probably not a good fit. Portfolios are brand new. Portfolio analytics are brand new. The new technicals will probably add, 30-fold the current technicals. So the 14-day pre-earnings trade is a max 7-day trade, or I guess when the short expires? That's right. Why does Trade Machine fire diagonals that are not investable? Example, TRU from today on the Today tab for 14-day diagonal only has monthly options to buy or sell. Do the results showing today, 74% win, 30% include these types of trades? Yes, they do. Ophir, I just read the definition. No indication of what time series 1 would buy for an X% delta strike. I'm a subscriber who would really like to better utilize your email, but I get stuck on the issue never knowing what time series to buy for the X% delta. Okay, so for this trade, $14 days before earnings, which you don't have to monitor, we'll send you an alert. You buy this strategy buys the at the money call that is the closest to 14 days from expiration, but expires after earnings. It sells the 30 delta option that expires the closest to 7 days expiration. That's it. Just buying an option and selling an option. Nothing more, nothing less. Today, TRU was triggered for strategy number 1, but I couldn't act on it as it didn't have a weekly expiring call. That's definitely possible that you see something. So they're talking about the Today tab. Today tab shows us all the trades that are triggering today. 14-day diagonal, TRU. 6 wins, no losses, 500%, whatever. But it doesn't have an option expiring before earnings. So what do? Well, first of all, you can always not do a trade. I wouldn't do everything that's on the Today tab. Or you can just look at this strategy, look how it's done, follow them through, see if that's been the case. And if that has been the case, then it looks like there's still some edge. Okay. So buy a put before earnings and buy a call which expires after expiration. Not even close. No. If that's what you got out of my presentation, then I have failed. Buy a call that expires after expiration. Sell a call that expires before, earnings, fuck. Buy a call which expires after earnings. Sell a call which expires before earnings. It has nothing to do with puts. This is a call spread. So for pre-earnings diagonal, is the strategy close both legs after 7 days? As it is back tested, the strategy closes with the front leg option. You can see that when you click edit, close all legs with front month options. By the way, if you're new to Trade Machine and you're just like, you can just go to trademachine.com. You're waiting for me. I have a sense that they're in the queue and you're just waiting for me to say that. Go to trademachine.com and you can sign up. This is for Trade Machine Normal. So you check it out. If you don't like it after a month, you just email support, say, hey, I didn't really like it, cancel, and please can I have my money back? If you are just convinced just out of your mind that you're going to want to have platinum, which I don't think is a good idea. Don't think it's a good idea. I think you should always try it for a month. Then I believe you can go here, cmlviz.com. Let's see if that's true. It is. Yeah. So if you go to cmlviz.com/platinum, then you can go ahead and do it. If you are a Trade Machine member, don't do this. You want to upgrade through your account. If you are, I'm letting you know right now, if you're a Trade Machine member and you go here, you're stuck with the new high price. We don't roll back. Do it through your account. So you don't close out the short trade, let it expire. What if the shorter dated option expires in the money? You close the options on the day that it expires. That's what the back test says. Why not sell another weekly after the first one expires? You can feel free to test that by changing your custom strategy and see how that works. Can we renew for like 3 years and be guaranteed platinum upgrade for years? Hell, I would renew for 5 years by paying for 5 years all at once now. Let's just go year by year for now. You can email support if you want to do 5 years. Glad that you like it though. Looks like the stop loss is not there in the screen, just shows take 50% profits. Yes, in the fade the dip, we have no stop loss because a put spread naturally has limited exposure. The most you can lose is the width of the put spread minus the credit. Can we upload actual trades from custodians? You cannot. The Today tab is not offering an abundance of tradable opportunities for the 14-day diagonal. Many are not liquid enough to trade in meaningful position. What are the criteria for inclusion on Today tab? Is that as it, and is that it, or are there opportunities we can explore? So the Today tab is probably, I don't know, 1/10,000th of the opportunities available in Trade Machine. If you're only using this, that's okay. You're just, you're getting a penny for every $100 you spend. There, if you go to the Discover tab or look at the first email we ever sent you, we have a 7-minute video which shows you how to use Trade Machine, and there was no such thing as a Today tab. Right. So the goal of Trade Machine is to create a portfolio of alerts. Right. Watch this video, only 7 minutes. Can you expand in the first strategy, diagonal, short call 30 delta, long call 50 delta? What do you do if the short call goes way into the money before expiration? You don't have to do anything. At expiration, you just close everything. You sell the long call and buy the short call. Remember, the long call is further in the money than the short call. Any thoughts on if you'll add IV rank or something with volatility for technical open? Yeah, we will. The moving averages you have selected, 50-day, 200-day, were they just because they are popular, or did you extensive testing to determine the optimal MA3 strategies? No answer to that. We don't do anything that isn't on purpose. Sorry, I've been losing a lot using TM, but it might be due to my not understanding when to enter exit. Based on your comment, buy a few minutes before close to make sure the technicals are there. What about happens after hours? Does that not mess the trigger up? No. Trade Machine, every back test in Trade Machine uses 15 minutes to the close to open and to close. That is when there's the greatest liquidity. Liquidity has nothing to do with volume and has nothing to do with open interest. Liquidity is a measure of market width and market depth. the market is the narrowest and the deepest near the close. But if you buy the rip, are you not buying the options at elevated prices? Better to buy the calls on the dip at lower prices? I don't want to buy a call when the stock's going to go down. So I don't know how else to answer that. How do we pay for Platinum? If you are a Trade Machine member, just go right here. It'll say upgrade, log in. If you are not a Trade Machine member, you go to upgrade. Like word it somewhere. One moment, please.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Hitchings, the CTO. If you can go to, there's a short link for it, which is cmlviz.com/platinum.
Yeah, I know, but I want to write it down.
Okay, sounds good.
So you want to go to cmlviz.com/platinum. Okay. You have delivered so much value. Thank you for your insight. It's my pleasure. Thank you. One thing that impacts a scorecard is the fact that a stop must be stopped out of. While the backtest honors this, how does one do this in real life? Every time I try a stop loss, there's slippage and stop limits don't get it at times. How does one ensure the 40% stop? Trade Machine uses prices that are 15 minutes before the close. Right? So you can see where your options are at. What happens if short options in any spread fall in the money? Is that accounted for in the data? Yeah, of course it is. It doesn't mean anything. You have a long an option that's protecting you. So my Trade Machine cost is 12 times what I'm paying now? No, it's only 12 times what you're paying now if you sign up for Platinum. Nothing has changed about Trade Machine. You just build monthly, and if, you know, that's it. If you sign up for Platinum, yes, it's 12 times your current rate. There's no price increase. You're getting 10 times the power. So instead of backtesting 5 stocks at a time, you can backtest 50 at a time. You're getting 0% more cost. On the run into earnings setup strategy, 1, if the shorter dated call option is in the money, do we let it cancel? Okay, so you just close both legs at the same time. How much to upgrade? There is no cost to upgrade. It's exactly how much you're paying now. It's just 12 months in advance, and there is no refund. Any discount if you pay for the full year? No, we give you 1,000% more power for the same price. That's good enough for us. Is there a way to set the Trade Machine back to when it was new? No, there isn't. Interesting question. Got it. Thank you. You're welcome. How could you position size these diagonal trades? So you can position, you can trade these in size pretty easily. Let's pull one up. Close all these guys out. So if you're talking like literally how do you do it, you just, instead of going 1 by 1, you go, you know, whatever, 100 by 100 or whatever, you know, whatever size you want to do, 300 by 300. And you enter, obviously, right, I can't give advice, but please enter these trades as a spread. Don't be naked short them. If you wanted to do this, you could say, edit it and say, call it my size, and then just change the things. You want to be long the 50 delta 14 day, maybe you want to do it 50 times. And you want to be short the 30 delta 7 day times. Always the same size, right? Now you've got a new strategy called diagonal special my size. The results will be no different, just bigger numbers. What tool do you recommend for pitting in a 40% limit, a 40% stop loss at the same time? My brokerage allows me to either apply a limit or a stop, but both at the same time. Hence, I end up messing one. I can't really recommend what to do, but I'll tell you what I do. I just go in about 15 minutes before the close and I just check manually. You know, brokerage should allow you to put a stop and a limit, but I want to tell you that you're wrong. Obviously, you know better than I do. So, did you show 3 strategies? I only heard 2. Would you just say the name of 3 strategies? Yes. The first one was a diagonal. The second one was fade the dip. The second one was buy the dip. For Platinum custom technicals, will it include the squeeze along with other technicals? We already have squeeze in there. So, right here, bull squeeze, bear squeeze. And it will include other technicals, yes, lots. Will you provide a portfolio curve in Platinum, a combination of different strategies in one portfolio, a combined curve? We might, for now not. For now, Platinum is pretty well defined. It's create a, by the way, when you sign up for Platinum, you're going to see like a 4-minute movie how to do it, but you create a new portfolio, call it, new guy, and then you add stocks. Apple, I don't know, whatever. Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, yeah, whatever you want. Now you have a new strategy. You have a new portfolio called New Guy, and then you can test New Guy. There you go. I'm having trouble believing in any strategy that has a low win rate for a long period, such as 10 years. What are your thoughts? I generally have trouble with strategies that have too high of win rates. Too high of win rates means that it's just probably selling low delta options, which just kind of blanket statement, which no blanket statement is true, means you're selling, picking up pennies in front of a steam train, right? So it's not the win rate that matters, it's the amount that you're making. Can we upgrade any time and still have 12 times our current rate? Yes, you can. You can upgrade whenever you want. If you're new to Trade Machine, get the monthly. Just do that. Right. Let me just leave this up. So this is for Platinum folks, but if you're new, just why would you commit yourself so soon? You can always go annual, right? So we're only successful if you're successful. I'm trying to make it so that you subscribe to a software that improves your scorecard, right? I mean, I want you to win. I also can't type, but it's more important to me that you win than you subscribe to us. Bulk portfolio trade export to Excel. That's a good idea. We don't have that now. Right now, you'd have to export every trade, every ticker into Excel. Interesting idea. Will Trade Machine Platinum allow a number of contracts to be adjusted to something like a maximum number amount at risk to make the portfolio summary for risk and total return make sense? Yeah, so we don't yet, and that's why I encourage you to only use these 4 pieces of information. So what the question is getting at is that if you it's either like Google, a $2,000 stock, and AMD, which a time ago was a $2 stock. One can be up 100%, the other can be down 5%. But if the one that's down 5% is Google, the total return will look terrible because the $2,000 stock is much more expensive option. So I wouldn't even look at this. Let's look at the average trade. How to sign up for Platinum? Any difference between Pro and Platinum? Well, I hope that I've made the difference between Pro and Platinum clear. I would, if you're not a Trade Machine member, I'd go to trademachine.com and sign up for the monthly one first. And if after one day you're just like, I have to get Platinum, then you will see a little upgrade button in the upper right-hand corner of your account and do it. If you really, really want to sign up for, you're a seasoned options trader, you understand what you're seeing, you're fully capable of making the decision, certainly you can go ahead and sign up for Platinum. I'm just letting you know it's a non-refundable account. We reserve instances with Amazon, right? Because these are obviously going to be much more powerful accounts. You're not going to be backlisting 50 stocks in a row. You're going to 5 stocks at a time. You're going to do 50 stocks at a time, probably a lot of times in a row, right? So when we commit, that means you commit. How do you populate all NASDAQ 100 tests for the Pro Scan to the back to? How do you populate all NASDAQ 100 tests from the Pro Scan to the back test page? I mean, you can't, right? So you can have, if you have Trade Machine Platinum, then you can go to a scan, let's say buy the dip, click on a ticker, let's say Baidu. Now the buy the dip technicals are already loaded in your Trade Machine. Well, now you can just say, all right, let's do it for the, the New Guy portfolio. Or let's do it for the NASDAQ 100. For diagonals, what is the percentage you get stopped out at? There is no stop in the diagonals because you're naturally hedged. Please excuse a string of questions unrelated to Trade Machine, but related to options. I recently took up a VIX call and closed it at 40%. Okay. A part of the closing gain was qualified by my brokerage as a long-term gain. Are VIX call gains treated differently? I can't talk about taxes. Sorry, just not allowed. Certain trades are sent via email to TM members. What separates those from the rest? Some days, some days winners may hit on the Today tab. Oh, so I send 3 trades a week there's stuff going on in the Today tab that I find interesting. My taste is not necessarily better than your taste. And if you have a portfolio of alerts set, then you can use that. I'm simply trying to encourage you to see ideas. Also, there are a lot of people who, work a full-time job. It'd be great to trade full-time, and I'm sure that would be the goal, but right now they're not. So I try to find things that are actionable, interesting. What I hope happens is, I should have done this right. Damn it. So I hope that if I send out an insight, let's say it's a diagonal, that maybe you look at the one I sent, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what else is on the Today tab in that section. And maybe you look, right? So it's not advice. I'm just trying to stir up some ideas. Do you plan to do moving averages, crossovers when you introduce the expanded SMA EMA availability? I don't know, Jason, are we going to have moving averages crossing? Oh yeah, 1. We can have 1. Yeah. Yeah. So under technical open, it'll be, I think we have that now. Shit. Sorry. Yeah, we have it right now when the 21-day crosses through the 10-day. So we have that right now. The difference will be, of course, that you can do any day, EMA or SMA. Okay. Oh my God, just stop. Okay. Are the technical entry, exit, and portfolios available in CML research? Confused a little on what to describe to. Thanks. No. So CML Pro is for stock research. I don't know what I just back to here, but I wanted to stop. That's what getting long Apple calls would have done in the last 6 months. Okay. So CML Pro is for stock research, right? It has nothing to do with options. It's long-term research. Because of the position I'm in finance, I get to talk to CEOs. I get to press them on their companies. I share it with you. That's CML Pro. It's nothing to do with options or software for that matter. So if you want to do CML Pro, you just type in CML Pro and CML Pro. Okay. I came in late, so I may have missed it. Can you explain what the stock backtester is doing? Can you backtest technicals based on a second symbol? You cannot backtest on a second symbol. So like when one company is above another company. We may add that later, but as of right now, no. Yeah. On Trade Machine, there's no stop or loss percentage. I was wondering why. There is right here. So you can put stops and limits here. Are there any examples of put strategies? Yeah, for sure. So one of my favorite put strategies, first of all, there are the bearish bursts, right? This is just straight down the middle getting bearish. It's a collection of technicals which together have created short bursts of risk exposure in which, companies have gone down. There's also a pretty cool one actually is the 1 month technical, is 1 day after earnings drops long put. I'll show you what that chart is. It's a pretty cool chart. One moment, please. Yeah. So like when this happens, when a stock gaps down off earnings, like when does this happen? When does it keep going down, or when is it just like up, back? So that is this scan called the 1 day after earnings drop long put. Sorry, got a lot of monitors open here. Hold on a second. Okay. Thank you for your time, but I find it hard enough to make progress buying stocks outright. I'm just not smart enough to understand options. Don't trade options. You are smart enough, but don't trade options. It's not worth it. If you are working a strategy, for instance, 7-day pre-earnings, do you let the market influence to what degree you are taking trades? I.e., if we've just had a large down dive, do you let them impact whether you take a number of pre-earnings trades? I think implicitly I do, but I don't realize it. So it's not so much on down days. It's on like, we've just had 2 rip-roaring up days. Would I enter a naked long call right now? I feel like I would have a cognitive trap that would force me to rethink it, but I don't do it on purpose. Can you show a timeline of the regime change? Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, you know what a better timeline of the regime change is? Just the SPX. Watch this. Oh, oops. I'm just gonna do the SPX. Thanks. Stock, never trade earnings, normal time for the last year. Okay. So this is the S&P 500 over the last 2 years. When we hit fourth quarter of 2018, everything changed. And I know the market kept ripping, right? But everything changed. This was now possible because before then, it wasn't possible. We were just doing this, right? And then it happened. Okay, so that's that. Yes, I can put that back up. Okay, thank you kindly for the strategy. I've been doing these diagonals and loving them. However, do you have an abort point for capital preservation, i.e. 50% 7% loss, or just let the probabilities work out? Thank you again. So feel free to have a stop loss. I would back test it. So you can load up the diagonals. Let's just go there. And you know, let's just do the whole NASDAQ 100. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to let this run and answer another question, and then I'll put in a stop loss. I did take your EXS trade based on a strategy, entered the spread at 320, exited to date 460, a little bit earlier than rule, but profitable nonetheless. Yeah, that's a huge win. That's like 40%. Very well done. EXAS was one of my favorites. Okay, so we're at 15% average trade return, 62% win rate. Now we can put a stop in. Let's say, I don't know, 7% stop. We'll see what happens. So this is to answer your question. Like, would I put a stop in? I don't know. I'd back test it. There we go. It's hypnotic. You know, lower win rate, lower average trade return. So I wouldn't. Will you be adding the MACD to your list of technicals? Yes. Today, CML Pro provided TRU as a ticker. I've already answered this question. Lifetime price. It is a lifetime price. Yeah. So eventually Trade Machine Platinum is going to be $5,000. But if this is true for all of our products, whenever you sign up, the price never goes up. So you'll be paying, you know, whatever you're paying, new people are going to be paying $5,000. What is the proper way to close a spread or diagonal? Close them as one trade. So in your brokerage, close them as one trade. Or that's how I do it. I can't tell you the proper way. So the moment we upgrade, you will deduct 12 monthly rate and stop the monthly deductions for the year. That's exactly right. So we will ostensibly cancel your monthly membership, bill you for 12 months. That's right. Does ProScan let us work backwards to figure out which trade type structure is best for the stock in question? Yeah, absolutely. You go to ProScanner, go to by ticker. Let's just do Apple just for fun. Search by ticker. Now here are all the strategies that have worked for Apple and how well they've done. And you can sort by, let's say, I don't know, let's say win rate is a really big deal for you. So here's the win rates that win. It's buying a call after Apple smashes earnings, right? Or let's say you want to do by average trade return. Like, what's the best one? Like, oh, okay, same thing. So yes, you can just do, and by the way, you can add as many tickers as you like. And if you have Chrome, you can have as many as you like, but if you have Chrome, you can actually pull it down to see it. But even if you don't have Chrome, just keep typing. Is there a good resource I can read up on 30 delta, 50 delta when I review option chains? I do not see that. So just ask your brokerage where their advanced option chain is. They definitely have delta. I mean, other than price and expiration, it's the most important piece of information. As far as reading about deltas, yes, go to the Discover tab and for delta, what delta is and why it matters. I think I missed the buy the dip for the last year. How did it compare to the 3-year stats? I'll load it up. Go to NASDAQ 100, go to buy the dip, go to Cisco. Now the strategy is loaded in here. Now I'll just go ahead and do the whole portfolio. I'll do 1 year. Sort of hypnotic, right? Just watching it. Can waste a whole day doing this. Okay. Yeah, it's just crushing it over the last year. So 26% average trade return. And what was it over 3 years? It was 20%, right? Wasn't it? Or 15%? I don't remember. I'll let it run. Was this recorded and will it be sent to us? Yes. You should make the... What? That's not right. I messed something up. I'll work on it later. Okay. You should make the lower pane on the trade results have 6 instead of 5 results to more likely show a complete trade. You should make the lower pane on the trade results. Oh, okay. We'll think about that. What happens next year at the renewal? Will it be another one-time payment or divided over 12 months? Another one-time payment. So you get charged annually for the full subscription. Good question. With a diagonal strategy, do you adjust if the short call goes in the money? No. I mean, you can, but that's not what the backtest does. There you go. For the second strategy discussed, fade the dip, could you tell me when entry is for this trade? Is it pre-earnings or post-earnings or never trade earnings? It's never trade earnings. Technical entry. So you go to the Pro Scanner. Actually, you can just go to the Discover tab and look for fade the dip down here. Fade the dip technical. You can watch, this is for members only, but you can watch this movie and it just tells you the whole thing. Can you test technicals intraday? Nope. We only have end of day data right now. I haven't found a really reliable source for stock intraday, oddly. I know that sounds weird. How do you standardize results between a $1,000 stock and a $20 stock? By the average trade return. That's why I was showing you this. So average trade return. It's in the scanner. It's also in the Platinum. So look at the average trade return, not the dollar amount. Tuned in late. Is this recording? Yes. Also not sure if this is for me, so I don't want to commit yet. Can I upgrade to Platinum anytime, say in a few months? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you always close both the long and short position before earnings with diagonal? I don't always, but the backtester does. I would think the long strangle technical strategy would do better with this volatility regime. What do you think? I'm not sure because we're still in a rip-roaring bull market. So I would test it with Platinum. It's a reasonable question, but I'm not sure. I'm a subscriber and need more help. Where do I go? support@cmlviz.com. Thank you. Welcome. Fear, what is the minimum win rate you personally require before you enter a trade? I don't really, I don't want it to be like below 40% or something, but I go for trades that don't have necessarily high win rates if the average trade return is high, But I'm not going to I don't do lottos. That's not my thing. Well, Fear just logged into Trade Machine. I don't see the upgrade button. Great session, Jim. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to read your name. You wrote it in the question. You can email support and you should, yeah. Is this webinar recorded? Yes, absolutely. And it will be emailed, yeah. Can you show us the alerts function? No, because I don't want to show you my alerts. So the alerts function allows you to set entry requirements, let's say earnings, days before earnings or technicals or whatever. Send yourself a little note, tells you what the trade is, send you a backtest link. If you want to learn more about alerts, actually, you want to go to the sign up page. Just watch, there's a video there. Just watch the video, or if you really don't, not that interested in the video, just kind of fast forward a little bit. I get to the alerts tab and start talking about the alerts tab. Are leaps common in TM? Leaps are in TM. So we have leaps. We have every option listed for every stock. Were your last two strategies put spread and buy the dip pre-earnings plays? No, they were just whenever. They're just those, the fade the dip and buy the dip are technical trades. So when technical triggers are met, you don't have nothing with earnings other than you avoid earnings. Like the 4 days around earnings, you just don't trade. That's a request.
Ophir, can I jump in real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a few questions get asked about when exactly people will get billed. So if you switch to Platinum, we'll bill you immediately for the next year, but then we will, within 48 hours, we will give you a refund for the current month for the portion you haven't used. So if you're halfway through the month and you pay $129 a month, then we'd bill you for all 12 months right now, but then within 48 hours, you get half of $129 back. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah. And if you do it on the weekend, it could take a little longer, but don't worry about it. You're going to get your refund. Don't worry about it. Just a request. I really like your today today page, but is there any way to exclude low volume optional stocks or filter only on NASDAQ 100 or S&P 500? Not yet. I suppose at some point on the today tab, we could have just like these buttons. We could have that right here. So that's possible, but not yet. Oh, fear, this gives us Rentech-like power. Thank you for the service. Ha, you're welcome. Can you test holding the long call until right before expiry? Yes. I'm not sure which long call you mean, but you can do that. So please, any tip on this? Thanks. No, the question is, this is not discountmags.com. And it's not. I'm a current TM Pro subscriber. Is the upgrade 1 year commitment or a year's fee all at once? It's a year's fee all at once. A year's fee all at once. Good question. Are you, okay, I will put that back up. Are you planning to add chart that would show the performance of the whole portfolio, not just individual stocks? You know, as we get feedback from Platinum members, we'll start adding things. So it's in consideration. Sure. It's not something we have right now. It's a good question. Good idea. Does Platinum renew automatically after we upgrade? Yes, it does. But just keep in mind, if you have Platinum for a year and then you don't like it and you forget and you see a charge from us, just email us and we'll just give you a refund. I cannot imagine a company easier to work with than us. If we can't upload from custodians, maybe see a sample portfolio you have inputted. No. So fear is the buy after expiration your protection against the sell before? Yes. I tried to upgrade, but I love TM, but the button takes me to an info, not an upgrade screen. Okay. Email support with you're probably using PayPal. So make sure you email and tell support your email address that you use for PayPal. Right? That might be different than the email address you use for PayPal. It has to be attached to your payment so we can refund. Yeah. Is it possible to import the S&P 100 or NASDAQ 100 list, or can Trade Machine have them preset? You can do it yourself. So, here. This is how I did it. NASDAQ 100 constituents on NASDAQ.com. So you just copy and paste these guys, right? And throw them into create a new portfolio. All right, you go to portfolios, you say new, and then you just copy and paste them into here. That's how you do it. I just want to remind you that as of right now, Trade Machine Platinum only allows up to 50 stocks at a time. Okay. Not zero. Can you limit the results to only stocks having earnings within a specific time frame? I.e. not just show the entire NASDAQ 100 and only stocks with earnings within the next 3 weeks. You can do that in the scanner. Here. So NASDAQ 100, I don't know, let's say 14-day pre-earnings diagonal. Well, actually, let's get some more results. Let's do you can sort by the next earnings date. So what percentage of account value do you risk per trade? I don't know if I should tell you. Let's say 1 to 3% normally. Can you share highlights of the new feature of the stock backtester in the platinum version? Yeah, so the stock backtester is going to be no options, right? Stock backtester, you're going to hit technical open or technical close. You'll just have a whole library of things to choose from and to set by hand and things like that. And then you'll have technical open, you'll have technical close, and then the charting will be a little bit more advanced. It'll show you when you're entering and when you're exiting trades. So you can have a, obviously with technicals, it's helpful to have a visual. The charting can be upgraded just in general. Below the main stock chart, there will be each indicator you use and how that's doing. But just keep in mind, if you're a Trade Machine Platinum user, you're going to get the stock backtester for free. Part of the benefit of Trade Machine Platinum. There is no higher product on our list. So Trade Machine Platinum gets the stock backtester for free. Now, if you realize, gosh, I don't want to trade options, I just want to trade stocks, well, then you can just cancel Platinum. Well, you can't cancel Platinum. When the year comes up, you can skip Platinum and just go to stock backtester, but you will get the stock backtester included with Platinum. This is great to know, 15 minutes prior to close. Oh, absolutely. Ignore my question. I went, okay, got it. So the buy the dip alerts are not meant to be bought on open? No, they're meant to, everything in Trade Machine is 15 minutes before the close. But I just want to add one thing. That's what Trade Machine does. It doesn't mean what you have to do, right? You as an individual trader can make decisions. The machine is designed to guide you, not to control you. Can you say that again? When do you trade? Greatest liquidity near the close? Yeah, I find the greatest liquidity near the close, like 15 minutes before the close. But, I can't say that I obey that. I'm telling you how Trade Machine works. I can't say that I obey that so much. Sometimes I do when it's like a pre-earnings trade. I'm just going to let it run until the end, and then. But I trade in the middle of the day. I have no evidence one way or the other to support a thesis that says the trading in the middle of the day is somehow worse than trading at the end of the day. One way or the other, I don't know. Did you say 15 minutes prior to close? 15, 1-5. New user here. Most of the triggered trades I've looked at and the options price moved quite a bit. Any guidance what vol or what price still reasonable to pay? New user here. No guidance on vol. I mean, if you're doing a back test which has a trigger, obey that trigger. Why not add volume column to the scan results to prevent us to look at stock results that has no volume? Because volume has nothing to do with liquidity. Oh, Fear, are you planning to give us an option to create our own strategies and be displayed on the tab like today? We actually are considering that. It's interesting they ask. Reason why I ask is that it's always current information gets used on the Today tab, right? So don't get Platinum because I'm telling you this, but I'm going to answer your question. I do think there's a version of Platinum, not a version. Platinum's only going to have one version. At some point, we're going to let you create your own alerts and have them show up on the Today tab. They'll be like my alerts, and then they'll be there. So I think that's coming. You can't like hold me to that thing. Okay. What percentage gains or percentage wins do you use as a minimum? You 100% return or 6% greater? So for a back test, the gains and win rates over the long term are going to change based on the type of strategy. So I'm expecting much higher win rates for like selling a put spread, much higher returns with a lower win rate if I'm like getting naked long a call. Can you cover how the 30-day refund works? Yeah. So you sign up for Trade Machine and you give it a shot, maybe paper trade or whatever, just kind of learn. Make sure to watch the video, get an email. And you're like, after some amount of days, 4 days, 29 days, whatever, you're like, you know what? I don't want it. So just cancel. So send an email and say, hey, I don't want it. Can you also give me a refund? And we'll just do it. Thanks. You're welcome. Great strategies. Thanks a lot. Welcome. I am already on an annual plan. Not sure if I get Platinum automatically. You do. Lucky you. Oh, you only get it if you are on a annual plan that is an annualized version of what your monthly was. I'm not sure. I do not see the upgrade option in my Trade Machine Pro. Okay, email support. Thank you, current member, but I need to review the presentation to better understand. My pleasure. Great webinar. Very exciting. Thank you. Is it possible to scan ticker groups directly from backtests? Is it possible to scan? No. So the scanner is kind of a machine in and of itself. So the scanner is just, you cannot add scans to the scanner. I think that's the question you're asking. Do you close the long trades at the same time at the front short? Yes, I do. Meaning set it back to the defaults as long, okay. Meaning set it back to the defaults as I don't get the same results as you've been following along while logged in. Yeah, I can show you my settings. So maybe take a screenshot of this. Let's leave it up. I use mid-market 50% contract fee. You just like screenshot it or whatever. That's how mine is set. Any possibility you'd be able to filter tickers that have weekly options? It's on the list, but not high. But yeah, that's possible. What is the lag between the trigger and the alert to user? Is it seconds, minutes, hours? It's probably minutes. Yeah, it's not seconds. Can you screen for options that have small spreads? Can you screen for specific dates? You cannot screen for stocks that have small spreads, but that's why we let you, for example, do in the scanner, have you do the NASDAQ 100 or the Dow 30. What else is it? You screen for specific dates. Not okay. So in the scanner, you have a little bit of power, in that you can do like the last 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, but you can't. We don't have like an actual date window like we do in the backtest. We don't have like this. So right now we don't have that. Interesting question. Can you add an additional technical when the broad market SPXY is moving over above average? Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So yeah, I mean, not yet, but it's certainly an idea that we'll implement. Change your brokerage. I think that was a question. I didn't say that's the one I was just reading. I think the confusion comes when most services discount price for an annual commitment. You are keeping the price the same, but 10xing the content. A great value, no brainer. Yeah, thank you. I like selling puts. What is the best way to utilize Trade Machine to maximize trading profits? So I like selling puts too. We have a few put selling strategies. One is just never trading earnings and just selling put spreads over and over again. That's right here. Another one is fade the dip. That's selling spreads. Another is right after earnings when a company beats, wait for a couple of days and then sell a put spread. We just did that in Microsoft, and it's a very big winner. I mean, as put spreads go. If you want to naked sell puts, then what you want to do is go to the backtest tab. You know, I'm just going to pick 5 stocks just because I don't know. Yeah. And then you say, hey, I like selling puts, and I don't want to do it during earnings, and I only want to do it if the stock price is above the 50-day moving average, so it's not collapsing, and I like to sell 30-day puts and short. And so this is how it's done over the last 3 years for Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft. You can obviously put stops and limits on there, and then, you know, be a little bit trickier about your technicals, like maybe you want the stock above the 50-day moving average, but you want the stock below the 10-day moving average. So the 10-day above the stock is below the 10-day. It's not overbought. Probably get a little bit better. Yeah, exactly. There you go, guys. You just saw how I think. How would you compare this to Wall Street IO? I'm a fan, so just asking. I actually don't know what Wall Street IO is. Is this possible to add data for futures or CME Group? Probably at some point, but not right now. So don't sign up expecting that you will be frustrated. I don't want you to be frustrated. So I'm in a current trade. So I'm a current Trade Machine member. I just paid 12 months as one time to upgrade, and I don't need to pay monthly. That's right. And every year thereafter, I pay an annual fee. That's right. And no monthly. That's right. It's just, you just pay annual fee every year. And if you want to, you want to cancel ahead of time, tell us, or if you miss it by 3 days next year, it's fine. Just tell us, we'll refund you. We're like I said, you cannot have an easier to work with company. Can you show the website to get the NASDAQ 100? Oh yeah. So just Google NASDAQ 100, but this is the actual NASDAQ. So, fair. I'll copy and paste the link for everyone. So everyone now has that link. If the squeeze implemented based off John Carter's original compression of BB and Calvin channels, or is it tweaked? We can probably put John's in, not yet, but yeah, we can. The current one is not, it's tweaked. On the Today tab, will you add other strategies like bull squeeze, etc.? Yes, I think the Today tab is going to grow. We just, we didn't want to put 18 strategies or 36 strategies and really kind of overwhelm people. If you noticed, very quietly, we added this one, right? With the new technicals include the ability to have the squeeze as a technical item instead of technicals. Yeah, it will. Yeah. Can we get short interest data from Trade Machine? I'm talking to them tomorrow. The first time they said no. So we'll see. It's awesome. But all right. Can you clarify the 15-minute before close comment? If your alert triggers at 10 a.m., you wait until 3:45 to place the trade if the conditions still are valid? That's right. That's what Trade Machine does. You do what you want. Sometimes I don't obey that. I see something trigger and it's like clearly triggered. So let's say, I don't know, the stock has to be above the 50-day moving average and it's 14 days before earnings and the stock, 8% above the 50-day moving average. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to enter it. But that's up to you. We follow the rules very specifically that Trade Machine follows. What you just said was correct. For the 40% gain loss, I find an OCO order works well. One cancels the other. Thinkorswim or Trade Machine, etc. All offer. Yeah, TradeStation. Thinkorswim or TradeStation have OCOs. Most brokerages should have OCOs. But it's okay. Thoughts on iron condors? Can we model them in Trade Machine? Yeah, I have. So first of all, yes, we have it as a button. We also have a scan. We have a scan for iron condors for ETFs. I also have a scan for iron condors after earnings for stocks. It's one of my favorite trades for a little bit of edge, right? So like this NASDAQ 100, like Charter and Veritex, look at these trades, 10 wins and 1 loss, selling a condor. But if you just want to iron condor, but if you just want to test it yourself, you can enter your tickers, Apple and Amazon and Google and whatever. Depends what, let's say you want to do I don't know, you want to sell a 40-20 condor, iron condor. You want to do it monthly. You want to never trade earnings. You only want to do it if the stocks are above the 50-day moving average. You hit iron condor short. There you go. Don't do that. But yes, you can backtest it for sure. Do periods of low versus high vol affect results? Yes, that's what this presentation was essentially saying. Volatility is increasing, and therefore you want to tweak your results a little bit. It doesn't blow things up, but you can kind of see things getting better and worse. Yeah. And I'm not winning since Oct, but look forward to improving. Currently, you use adjusted moving averages, right? Your moving averages adjust for stock splits, et cetera, which is fine, but why adjust for dividends? This makes it hard to follow on regular charting packages. Yeah, I mean, the reason it's hard to follow on other trading packages is because other trading packages are bad. So you have two choices. One is to go to cmlviz.com, go to pivot points, and you can just see it in real time. These are our moving averages, right? And you can, like, oh, I want to do the 13-day, the 5-day, whatever. Right? You see those chart moving on the right? Also the Fibonacci's on there. So that's one choice. Yeah, that's good enough. So yeah, you can feel free to see these, and these are real time. They're tick by tick. In Platinum, an alert applies to all the stocks in the active portfolio. I think actually it does if you set an alert. Yeah, let's see. Let's call on a portfolio called New Guy. I'm gonna take this offline because I don't want to show my alerts. Yeah, oh no. Oh, I hit alerts like an idiot. I didn't hit add alerts. Sorry. Okay. Add alert. Yeah, it adds all of them. Ha. Yes. So if you hit click add alert with a portfolio, it's going to add the entire portfolio. Do you know the success rates if you took every trade since you started the Today tab as soon as the alert was sent? No, no idea. Ophir, this gives us a quantitative edge similar to Rentec or 2 Sigma with the analytical insights. Thank you for the service. Have you considered modifying the Today tab to only display strategies with options that are liquid? Yes. Maybe I have missed them. Is it possible to have these sessions every few months? Yeah, I'm going to do at least 2 a year. So I'm picking trades. You would say win rate is not as important as average return. I've been using win rates by picking higher probability trades with decent returns. Am I looking at this wrong? So it's really personal, you know. So I like win rates. Like I would look at something with a win rate in the 40s. I prefer it to be over 50%. It's really personal. Some people will look at, you know, there's some great traders who have really bad win rates. I mean, they would tell you their win rate's like 30%, but they're monstrously profitable. So, and that's perfectly reasonable, right? So it's really up to you. It's very, very personal. Like how would you just pretend that you were describing your trading persona to someone else? Do they take big risks? Are they willing to take several losses in a row to look for the big win? Are they willing to cut a lot of losers waiting for the big guy, or do they need small wins to keep them going? Like describe yourself, and that's how you should trade. Okay. Super duper powerful tools, loving them so far. Oh, awesome, thank you. I'm a subscriber, but I do not see the option to create my own portfolio or a universe of stocks. You cannot do that unless you are a Trade Machine Platinum member. So you have to sign up for Platinum, which is an annual subscription. Instead of adjusting the number of contracts on a strategy, how about inputting the amount risked and Trade Machine adjusts the number of contracts? Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Just like I don't want to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade or whatever, $500,000 on any one trade. But not there yet. Just joined from work. How do we rush from the beginning? I will send you an email. Don't worry about it. It's going to be automatic. Ophir, do you guys take PayPal credit? Thanks, Jim. We take PayPal. I don't know if we take PayPal credit, to tell you the truth. Platinum members have access to regular TM functions. Oh, yeah. Platinum is everything that Trade Machine has, plus the portfolio analytics. Yes. Should we close the diagonals as pair always, or no, sell the legs according to booking the winner loss? So Trade Machine closes them all at once. You can feel free to do what you want. Sometimes I will do a diagonal. I'll let the short leg, the front leg expire, and I'll hold on to my calls for another weekly run. But that's, you know, sorry, I joined late. What does the average trade per trade represent? The average trade percent represents the average trade. So if you have 100 stocks and we traded 100 times, each stock has 100 trades, has an average, and then you do that for every stock and take the average of the averages. Which is better results, buy the dip and fade the dip? You got to go to the Discover tab and see that. Fade the dip has a higher win rate, buy the dip makes more per trade on average. Perfectly found trade-off. You should point out and explain the feature on the Today screen. Point out and explain the feature on the Today screen. The Today tab shows all tickers that are triggering on the day for specific strategies. We only show 10 here, even though we have like 30, just not to overwhelm people, and we'll just keep adding. Will there be a way to see things that triggered on the Today tab from previous days? You know, maybe, but it's not high on the list. What is the source of your data? CBOE? No, right now our source for data is Option Metrics. So Option Metrics is the definitive source for hedge funds for option data because they only do end-of-day pricing, so they get to run their binary trees, binomial trees through a whole day, as opposed to every second. I don't know if that resolution is really necessary, so we might switch to CBOE. But right now we have, you know, what the hedge funds use, and so we'll just do that. If the delta 30 expires worthless, do you hold the 50 delta until just before closing, e.g. a few days longer? No, so the trade, so you guys have all of these answers inside Trade Machine. When you go at the strategy, it says close all legs with the front month options. So according to this back test, you close them all together. You, of course, can do as you like. I use TM all the time, but never have used the Bear Bull Mammoth strategies. Are they obsolete? Nope, they're not obsolete. Feel free, you know. It's our own bullish and bearish combination of trades, of technicals, and you can learn about them on the Discover tab. Technicals in the CML Mammoth model. Does a trade machine allow for option strategies in SPX and volatility products? Yes, we have SPX, VIX, yes, all of them. Do you ever trade options in the indexes instead? Sometimes, yeah, for sure. Do you have an area where you have explanations about the various trade ideas? I think you indicated diagonals work profit by volatility movement. Most of them are here. The diagonal happens to not be. If you really want to understand volatility, guys, watch this. It's 37 minutes, so, you know, watch it in chunks or watch it whatever you want. It's called Become a Top 1% Expert. It's just volatility mastery. This is hardcore. It's the most I could put in while not making a 17-hour movie. I think it's worth it. Will the option trade to platinum be allowed at the subscribed monthly rate times 12, which is lower than the latest prevailing run rate? Yes, forever in the future. Yes, you keep your rate for sure. I like selling puts. What is the best way to utilize trade machine to maximize profits? I think I showed that. You're the man of fear. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. While have your expertise, just to confirm, if you are selling earnings strangles and the earnings releases after the close, in the custom earnings tab, so you add a 0 for before and 1 after the close. Yeah, that's right, but I think it's much safer to just consider selling earnings strangles and just do 1 and 1. 1 day before, 1 day after. I mean, why mess with it? But if you're going to do that, God bless, but it's risky, but I would just do 1 and 1. Yeah, that's what I would. Hypothetically, what you said is true, just so we're clear. So the stop loss on TM are using prices during the last 15 minutes before the market close. If we put in bracket orders that get triggered during the day, does it skew the real results of the strategy when applied consistently? In other words, is there a way of testing that? There isn't a way of testing that. I have no evidence to show that end of day data is any better or worse than middle of the day data with regard to a backtest. If you place a diagonal trade 14 days prior to earnings, when do you close the diagonal? So as the strategy says, let's go to scanner. You close all the legs of the front month options. By the way, if you guys wanted to test this and say not close the back leg, just keep it going, you would just uncheck this. Magically have a different strategy. How about adding a risk reversal? We have risk reversals right here. Do you have plans to gather end of day data on different country exchange data such as Singapore, UK, India? Right now, no. Right now, no. It's on the possibilities list. Can you screen post-earnings options reactions as well? Yeah, for sure. So let's say, we actually have a scan for it. So let's say you wanted to look at the NASDAQ 100. So let me show you the picture first. It's much easier. So, right, like a big earnings beat, you're like, okay, when does this happen? When does it keep going? So, which is a cool strategy. It's risky, but it's cool. It's our 1 day after earnings long call jump. And, Apple's been the magnificent one, as has Tesla, oddly. So, and you can see the settings, you click custom earnings, and it says only if the last earnings stock move was up 3%. So only if the move yesterday was up 3% or more, and you open a call the day after earnings and close it 14 days later. Right. So you can do that. But I mean, do whatever you want. These numbers are just preset. You would do whatever you want. Curious, what percentage of your personal trades with options are off alerts from Trade Machine? What percentage? I don't know, definitely more than half. I don't know. I mean, fear is the buy after expiration, your protection against sell before. Yes. Is this possible to add data for future CME? Not yet. Thank you, Fear. Love TM. Been using it for about 5 months now. Awesome. Which is more important than win rate or average return? It's personal. Are there any days you do not trade? Yeah, I almost never trade earnings. It's just not my thing. Can you explain volume has nothing to do with liquidity? Yes. Liquidity is a measurement of market width and market depth. So if the market is narrow, so the bid and the offer are close together, let's say you can buy the option for $1.95 and sell the option at $2, $1.95 at $2. That's narrow. Wide would be buy it for $1, sell it at $2. It's very wide. And then it's the depth. So how many can trade at $1.95 and how many can trade at $2? Is it just a 10 lot and then it goes wide again? Or is it like 1,000 by 1,000? You don't need to have volume to have liquidity in the options market. Sometimes you do. However, I have seen many options with a lot of volume that have very poor liquidity. Tesla options, for example. As a feature enhancement, would your company be willing to invest in backtesting using option adjustments? For example, it'd be very cool to see what happened if you tried to adjust a condor or credit spread by rolling out or rolling wider strikes or both. Yeah, I mean, we could consider it. The reason I asked about specific dates was you are looking at a vertical debit. That's right. You can look at other current chart and see is the market bull, bear, or coiling. Then you can go back and look for current periods of time that are, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to want to do things in very specific time frames. And you can clearly backtest very specific time frames, right? You can set any dates you want. This is by hand. You can just use the button so you can do it by hand. But yeah, we don't have everything. Yes, I can show that again. Are you going to add high short interest stocks for an option trading strategy? We might. I'm talking to them tomorrow. Could we see your portfolio area, and do you see a trading journal to measure your trading? If so, could we see your portfolios area? Okay. I'm going to delete that. Here's my portfolios area. Do you use a trading journal to measure trading? If so, do you like? My trading journal is my brokerage account. So I don't mean to dismiss it. Like I do have a trading journal, but it's my P&L. I look at it probably more often than I should. Please send a copy of these QAs. Great stuff. It'll be in the webinar. What's your favorite bread and butter strategy that you use if you had to pick just one? What an interesting question. Probably diagonal, the pre-earnings diagonal. Yeah, it might be, it's the diagonal or, this crazy good strategy, the ratio spread. I mean, I've shown this to members and that's cool. It's just not, some people don't love it that much, but this hasn't lost in like 10 years. Okay, so it's lost 3 times in 5 years. I mean, this is crazy, hasn't lost in 3 years. So I'm oftentimes just rolling this over and over and over and over and over and over. But for stocks, probably the diagonal. High short interest with low float would be very awesome to scan. Yeah. Well, we could do short interest relative to float things. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It could, look, there's something about backtesting. We have a hypothesis which says, think that if there was short interest data that we could manufacture a way such that we had an apparatus that would be like a signal. But it's not always the case, right? Sometimes you're like, after all that, it didn't really work. I have to decide if we're going to pay for it before knowing if it's worth a damn. It's not an easy decision. Any plan of adding butterfly strategy? You can do butterfly right now. So you just create a strategy. We'll call it my butterfly. I don't know what kind of butterfly you like, but I'll get short the at the monies 10 times. I get long the in the monies 5 times. I now have a butterfly. And it looks pretty good on the SPY. So yeah, butterflies are there anytime you want. You have as many custom strategies as you want. Is it possible to see unusual options activity in the scanner or at least stocks with UOs? We don't have options activity. No comment on it. But we don't have it, sorry. Why, when do you use different test lengths? Would you always use the longest test period? I'm confused. I actually prefer tighter test periods. So I want it to work over, let's say, 3 years. It's probably 2 volatility regimes, but I'm most interested in how it's done in the last year. Unless it's like one trade. If it's one trade, it doesn't count, right? I want to see some trades. I almost had you guys done with questions, and I just 8 more just slipped in. Why is SPY? What is the SPY trade you're showing? I think you're talking about this one. That's the ProScan ETF for short iron condors. No, sorry, ETF technical ratio spread. Click on it. Let it load. It takes a while to load. It is the 1 by 2 by 1 by 2. You can learn about it on the Discover tab. Just go down here and look for SPY trades. Trading S&P 500 options using technical analysis that is one in all markets, even the Great Recession. So that's it. And it explains it just like in great detail, even with a video. Oh, the video should be, yeah, here's the last 10 years. Yeah, so it's a 1 by 2 by 1 by 2. I know you answered a question regarding P&L and such. Is there a way on Trade Machine to track what were the initial risk versus reward ratios when opening a trade? I'm not sure this answers your question, but Trade Machine is a immovable picture of the past. So if there's a back test that you like, and you do it, and you're like, it's a year later, and you're like, well, what did it used to look like? You just change the dates back to the ones you want, and you'll see the exact same results. It is a recording machine. Oh my God, I did it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. If you're new to Trade Machine, go here, unless you're just absolutely sure you want Platinum. If you're a current Trade Machine member, you should look for the little upgrade button. There's going to be a lot more coming with Platinum. We are releasing a stock back tester. That will be a separate product as well for those of you that like to trade stocks. And I think that's it.